Ah yes, 2024. The year where everyone thought the world was ending and we were all forced into our homes. Good times, am I right? I happened to be alive when all of this went down, and I'm sure everybody watching this video was too. Unless you're a fetus. Since I was trapped inside for my entire summer, I was forced to do more things indoors, such as art, video games, and watching videos on the good old YouTube. And this is where I found something interesting. Now, if you're ever like me, and very nosy when it comes to the internet, you may have stumbled upon a popular video game at the time known as Among Us. Nowadays a meme, but the real deal 6 years ago. Everyone was playing it. Everyone was talking about it. And me? Well, I got to watch people play it. Yeah, my parents weren't too fond of the idea of their 10-year-old playing a game that involved talking with strangers about murder, so I was forced to watch the fun from afar. But alas, this forced watchfulness caused me to notice something that piqued my curiosity. Now at this point it was 2021, and it was at this point that I stumbled upon a channel known as STA Studios. A channel mostly dedicated to silly Among Us animations complete with occasional story arcs, voice acting, and dumb jokes. I was hooked. Now I've hyperfixated on many things before, this was nothing new to me. But my STA Studios phase was intense. Now currently, I have been hyperfixated on Hamlet for about 8 months, but my STA Studios phase lasted somewhere between 2 and 3 years. And while that isn't as long compared to my Five Nights at Freddy's phase, which lasted about 6 years, it was consistently more intense than anything else. I was an Among Us obsessed middle schooler. And even after that channel ended, I was a very loyal fan and refused to let anything else grasp my attention. But of course, I grew up and Marble Hornets took the reins. And after that, STA Studios was kinda left in the dust. Recently, however, I randomly remembered that it existed and took a trip down memory lane by revisiting the channel. Now that some time has passed and I've had time to mature, would I choose to watch this in my free time? No. But, maybe the older videos, those were peak. Basically, I grew out of it. But I was starting to get an idea as I rewatched the episodes I have seen 1,000 times before. What if I drew all of the characters while talking about them? Sure, why not? So without the introduction out of the way, it's time to talk about the characters. Yes, I am doing these in rainbow order, thank you for noticing. I'm gonna talk with y'all like you have no idea who these characters are since most of you probably do not. So if you are familiar with STA Studios, just bear with me. So right now I am drawing Chloe. Now Chloe was a bit of a controversial character. She was actually a character that was introduced later in the series, and not many people liked her at first due to her stuck-up personality. But her character began to make sense when she gets kidnapped. Why, you may ask? Well, it's because she wasn't kidnapped by any random person. She was kidnapped by a prince she was supposed to marry. So the reason she acts so snobby is because she is a princess. While I may not have always liked Chloe that much, I do appreciate that she wasn't just annoying for no reason, and that she was able to get fleshed out, as well as find someone she loves on her own time. Speaking of Chloe's partner, it's time to talk about Jeff. Jeff is one of the more popular characters, and I feel like he's also treated more as a main character, even though no one in the series is qualified as the main character. Now this may be upsetting to some depending on who you are, but I actually didn't really like Jeff that much. I personally just think he was much better in the older episodes compared to the new ones, which is something I noticed about a lot of the characters actually. Anyways, in general, Jeff is depicted as very intelligent and also brutal when imposter, so that's how I drew him. Also as a nod to Jeff the Killer since STA Studios was replaced by my creepypasta phase. Oh my gosh, it's time for one of my favorite characters. The Grumpy Engineer. Fun fact, I didn't really like Mrs. Potato at first, mostly because he didn't get a lot of screen time, but I actually love him now. Also, yes, Mrs. Potato is a boy. I remember there was a lot of controversy in the fandom about if Mrs. Potato was, like, trans or something. No. He just has a weird name. All of the characters, the early characters that is, they all have weird names, so it's not that obscure, but just putting that out there for any of you people who are not familiar with STA Studios. If I recall correctly, there was this one episode where this one character was like, oh, why is your name Mrs. when you're a boy? And Mrs. Potato was just like, oh. Like, I don't think he understands why he's called that either. Though, I think they're like real people playing as the characters, but that's just theory. One of the things I really like about Mrs. Potato is his friendship with Chester. Because something I didn't like about STA Studios was that everyone was getting in relationships. But we didn't have any, like, besties, so I was glad when they made that choice with Mrs. Potato and Chester. But this next character kind of ruined everything. I'm gonna say this right now. I was a hardcore Darth Vader hater. I did not like him at all. However, I do like how I drew him. Maybe it's because I have a thing with, guys with glasses, but, like, you know, he just looks really silly. But guys, he's not a good person. I won't get into the whole rant, but basically he is the result of an experiment gone wrong when Mrs. Potato tried to clone himself. And then, Darth Vader basically attempted to trap Mrs. Potato in a snow globe and replace him. That obviously did not work, but I understand that STA Studios didn't want to have to choose between killing off Mrs. Potato or Darth Vader. So they just merged them into one character. It was definitely a choice, but at least they're both still technically there. Well, I don't really care about Darth Vader that much, but Mrs. Potato is chill. I want to apologize in advance because I don't like Banana. I'm sorry, but I'm also not. Like, I don't like the way he acts. Like, in the older episodes, he was fine, I guess, but in the newer ones, I don't like how he acts like a literal child. It's, like, really uncomfortable, but, you know, it could be worse, right? I think that also is kind of the reason I don't like Avi x Banana either. Oh my gosh, I'm such a rage baiter. Like, okay, originally Banana was more of a sunshine character, and he still kind of is, but now he's just more childish than anything. Anyways, I do like this drawing though. I was trying to capture him being more silly rather than just straight up pitiful, so it's good. So again, I have an unpopular opinion. Please don't kill me. Avi was the only female character that I actually liked. I didn't really like the others that much just because they either didn't stick out to me, or it was because they were too focused on their boyfriends. Which was one of the things I liked about Avi, was that she didn't care about getting a boyfriend. Which is yet another reason why I don't like Avi x Banana. Actually, and keep this between you and me, I was one of those select few fans who shipped Avi and Ninja. I mean, it makes sense. They are both the missing colors in the series. They're pretty independent, good at fighting, and just reflect each other's personalities in general. I was even just like rooting for them to be best friends because I just really wanted to see them interact more. And there have been a few times that they have, but not enough to satisfy little me. And you can imagine how mad I was when Avi and Banana started dating at the end. I'm still mad about that, and I'm not even in the fandom anymore. But anyways, here's my take on Avi. Another favorite! I mean, who doesn't love Peps? He's just such a mood. He reflects my personality when I'm at school. Anyways, the episode where he discovers a device that can turn him invisible is actually the first STA Studios episode I have ever watched. So he was actually the first character that I met. And good thing too, because again, he's just such a baddie. Also, a little unrelated, but for the previous characters, I drew them with their little hats or accessories, but there will be a select few characters that I draw that do not have their hats. The reason I did this is because it either would have looked bad or have been too messy. And later you'll see that with Ninja, I didn't just want to stick a random cherry on his head because it would have looked out of place. So for Peps in particular, I incorporated the shape of a pizza in his hair, but I'm not sure if it's noticeable or not. I just thought it was clever, but anyways, definitely one of my favorite drawings out of the bunch. I like his little pose. Again, with another favorite. Chester's just a silly little country boy. I've already mentioned this earlier, but I like his friendship with Mrs. Potato. Gosh, I wish there were more best friend duos in this show rather than just relationships. Guys, I know I've mentioned this a million times already, but it's true. For this drawing, I don't know why, but the face gave me some issues at first. Not sure why, but something about it was just off, but I think I fixed it. Other than that, I like this drawing. It's cute. I don't really have anything else to say about this. Just, we love Chester. Yeah. I won't lie with you. I don't really have an opinion on Mr. Grits. He's just kind of there. Like, he just exists. What I will say, though, is that this weird love triangle between him, your mom, and Peps was probably one of my favorite relationship plots in the show. Like, I mean, okay, again, I've already said this. I didn't like the characters getting in relationships, but this one was probably the best one. Because I liked how Mr. Grits had this, like, cute little crush on your mom, and it was all, you know, cutesy and stuff. And then after Peps rejected your mom, she finally noticed Mr. Grits. And then after Peps rejected your mom, she finally noticed Mr. Grits. But then the roles get reversed, and Peps develops this little crush on your mom. And it's just a terrific mess. I do like that Peps' crush didn't really last, though. And he kind of transitions into a, I don't like dating, it's a waste of time phase. Which leaves Mr. Grits to have a peaceful relationship with your mom. And also, I just feel like Peps wouldn't be the type to date anybody. This was another case where I did not draw his hat. I instead incorporated it into the way his hair looks, because his hat is just a leaf. So I just made his hair stick up in a similar shape, because I just thought it'd be so random, just putting a random leaf on his head. Sandy. Sandy and Snowball was the very first relationship that was developed, and it literally happened within the first episode. Obviously, there were some development episodes that followed afterwards, but it was pretty straightforward. But of course, it became Sandy's entire character. It was just her being Snowball's girlfriend. Though I think the later episodes helped tone that down, but it was a little annoying at first. Though I did feel bad for Sandy during I believe it was the Everyone Looks the Same episode, where she accidentally kissed Jeff after mistaking him for Snowball. But they were able to resolve things, so it's fine. I do like how I drew Sandy though, she's gorge. Oh, I'm gonna make so many people mad with this one. I did not like your mom as much as the fandom did. I don't necessarily hate her, but she didn't really stick out to me. She also has a similar problem that Sandy had with her character being based off of her relationship with Mr. Grits. But like Sandy, she was also developed away from that as time passed. But yeah, other than that, I never really liked her. And again, it's just because she didn't stand out to me. I'm allowed to have my opinions. Anyways, here's my take on your mom. Oh boy, I have a lot to say about this one. See, when I was a small child, I did not know that simpin was a thing. Like, every now and then, I would watch a show or movie and would get those, little butterflies people talk about when a certain character came on screen. But I didn't realize until I developed a crush on a real person that I was crushing on fictional characters. And it's funny because when I started simpin for Ninja, I had just learned what simpin was and that fictional crushes were valid. Because guys, it was such an embarrassing thing to talk about, and it still kind of is. But at this point, I don't really care anymore. I don't like Ninja anymore. After I got introduced to TAC, the crush withered. But he's still my favorite character, mainly because of this whole ghost arc. It was so good. Absolute cinema. But anyways, because I used to simp for him, I thought it'd be funny if I made him slightly more attractive than the other characters I drew. But to be honest, everybody's attractive, so oops. For the sake of my sanity, I'm just gonna refer to this guy as Brown because I feel like an idiot saying poop, so Brown is another favorite of mine. I promise I only have a few favorites, which is Brown, Ninja, Avi, Peps, and Mrs. Potato. In no particular order, because if I had to rank them, a lot of the characters would share spots. But, I was a diehard Ninja fan, so he would probably be number one. Just putting that out there. Brown is a bit of a different character, because... Okay, well, first of all, most of the cast consists of boys, and Brown is no exception. But what's different about him is that he reminds me of, Okay, so picture, a group of friends, which is all girls. And then there's just that one boyfriend who just was plopped into that group. That's Brown. That is Brown. Sandy and your mom were all like, let's go shopping. Brown, do you want to come? And he's just like, okay. Period. Can I get real with y'all? I really wish I had a guy friend like Brown. None of them would ever go shopping with me. Oh, good grief. I sound pathetic. It's okay. It's okay. Okay, so each STA Studios episode focuses on a different character each time. In their very first episode, Snowball was the main character, so he's like the OG. Now, despite him being the original main character, he's another character I don't really have an opinion on. I mean, he's Sandy's boyfriend. That's pretty much it. Now, for Snowball's design, I couldn't really incorporate the shape of his hat and his hair, because, how would I even do that? But, I also didn't want to draw the hat because it just looks weird. So I had to improvise. I just drew him with a little hat on his head, since his name is Snowball, and also I feel like a lot of people who build snowmen put hats on them. But, I think it's a good enough substitute. And that's it. Now, if you are familiar with the characters, you may have noticed I did not draw Star, Pigeon, or Peach. 2 reasons. 1, I was tired, and 2, since they're kind of new additions to the cast, I didn't feel like I needed to include them, since they weren't really around when I was hyperfixated on the channel. However, a couple months ago when I was planning this video, I did sketch out the 3 of them, so I will show those to you. But yeah, as for the other characters, I'm quite pleased with how all of them turned out. My least favorite is probably Banana, just cause, nah. Comment down your favorites, or something. I don't know. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I know it's been a hot minute since I've posted. I have been working on some stuff behind the scenes. I'm not going to go into any spoiler territory though, so just hang in there. Anyways, yeah. Thanks for sticking around, you guys. Bye!